Hello and welcome to my mom's basement, ladies and gentlemen. It is Robbie Fox, and I am here with Rey Mysterio. It is an honor. It is a pleasure always when I can sit down with Rey and get to pick his brain about the business a little bit. We are here ahead of the Royal Rumble. It's going to be this weekend. I can't wait. Rey, how are you doing?
Very good, Robbie. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I heard you just had Dominic, huh?
I just had Dominic. Yeah, they're going to be, when people are listening to this on the podcast, they'll be together. So they could listen to
Yeah,
Dominic and Rey together. It'll be amazing. To
of course.
begin, so this podcast is a bit nerdy. We call it My Mom's Basement. And the last time you were on it, you had just seen Spider-Man Far From Home. So I want to ask you, have you seen Spider-Man No Way Home?
Believe it or not, I haven't, man. And I've heard so much good feedback. And I'm like, I usually, if it's a movie that catches my attention, I'll wait for it to come out and watch it at home,
Yeah.
because now you have the accessibility to do that. But that one, for some reason, everybody was telling me that it was off the hook, man, and that I had to go see it at a theater. So I haven't been able to check it out, man, which I'm really upset at myself for that.
It's devastating. You might be the last person on earth that hasn't seen it.
Jesus.
So we are here to talk about the Royal Rumble, as I mentioned, and you were a former Royal Rumble winner in 2006. This was the highlight of my childhood, I feel like, because
Wow.
you were my favorite. I thought there is no way he could win at number two, right? The odds are stacked against him. He's got to last the whole match. My older brother, sitting next to me, saying, "No way, no
No
way."
way.
And then you wound up winning it. What do you remember about that night, 2006, the Royal Rumble?
I think that's what makes the Royal Rumble so special because you never know who's going to take it. You can have your pick, but it doesn't necessarily happen that way. There's only been two superstars in the history of the WWE that have come out in number one and number two. The first one was Shawn Michaels when he came out at number one and took it all the way to the end. And of course, the second one is myself, coming out at number two and then winning it. It was a special moment, man, very special. From the moment I arrived at the arena, obviously you don't know who's going to win until later that day. And of course, when you get the word, it's like, damn, you just don't want to give it away. But it was a perfect moment, man. Eddie had just passed in November. This was January. A lot of fans still to this day would see Eddie through me, because of the connection we had. Even though we finished off our rivalry at SummerSlam in August before he passed, and we were rivals, but they remembered more the connection that we had than the rivalry over Dominic's custody, which was very special. So you can only imagine, so many feelings piled up going into this Rumble, but a very special one without a doubt. And it's very, very high. It's on my top three, in my career.
Yeah, you mentioned not knowing like that you were going to win the match till you showed up later that day. Did you know that you would be entering number two earlier, or was that a total surprise as well?
That was a surprise as well, entering number two and then taking it all the way to the end. So yeah, man, it was very, very, very hectic moment. And because, you had to throw on your wrestling shoes that night, and perform at a high level. So it was a good time.
Yeah, you had to be in that match for a record-setting amount of time. That's pretty daunting. Like over an hour, it's crazy. A few years
Yeah.
later, in 2010, you take on the Undertaker at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. This is one of my favorite matches of your entire career. I think it's phenomenal.
Wow.
I just looked up the Wikipedia page. I think it's under 12 minutes, which stunned me because it feels like a war. This feels like just a fight. It's awesome. What do you remember about that match?
That was a very special match for me as well. To be able to be in there with the master, the legend himself, the Undertaker, pretty scary. Not gonna lie, nerves were racked and stacked. You just want to make sure that you're able to perform at your highest peak. Because you're in there with one of the all-time greatest. So, I was so nervous, but at the same time, very confident of myself and what I could bring to the table. And to be able to step in there with Undertaker and just pick his brain, just like you're picking my brain right now, was something very unique, very special. And he was so freely with advice and just guidance, overall throughout the match that I just had my ears open. And I've been like that with everybody that that I respect, of course, but that want to lead the way, and I'm just right there behind them, taking their lead. Something very, very special. Undertaker, without a doubt, I think definitely one of my top 3 matches. Next to the one that I had with Kurt Angle at SummerSlam.
Oh my God, such a great match. Yeah. And another Rumble that I want to ask you about, and this one is not necessarily like a Rey Mysterio career highlight per se, but it's just a crazy event in the history of wrestling. It's 2005. You were in this match, and it obviously has the insane chaotic ending of Batista and John Cena go over the top rope at the same time. Vince runs out and he tears both of his quads. Were you in the back when that happened with everybody just being like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on?
Yes, I was. And we were all going, what just happened? What happened? Because we knew something had happened right there with the finish, but it was controversial, but when Vince walked out and we were just kind of pending to the monitor, what's going to happen? And we see him slide in, then him trying to get up and he goes back down. Like, what's going on here? And then, of course, we got the news later that he had torn both of his quads. Like, how is that even possible? Crazy. But there you go, man. You can see the brute strength that he has, and just the tenacity and just, what I mean, to go out there and do his thing and not even complain 1 second.
It's crazy.
He was back around like a week or 2 weeks later. So very crazy times. I thought for a minute you were gonna ask me about the Rumble where I came out and they started booing me, which was very weird.
Listen, you're one of the GOATs, so I didn't want to bring that up. I was going to say 2018 made up for that, right? When you had that big debut, or not debut, the big surprise return in Philly. I was at that one as well. So, I was losing my head as the Rey Mysterio mark. That I had to make up for it, right?
Now, that one was very special because I had been gone for about 4 years, and the other thing that makes the Rumble so special is the surprise entrance. Who's going to be the one? Who's coming out? And, of course, for it not to leak out. And I remember flying into New York that day and then driving to Philly. So no fans would spot me out at the airport. And sure enough, I pulled into the arena, went straight from the car service into a bus, and they kept me there until I had to make my entrance. So it was very, very special, man. The reaction of the fans, especially when you don't know who's going to be it,
that was a total surprise. It really was. That didn't leak anywhere. You had great gear that night, dude. The black and yellow gear was awesome.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, very special.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. And here's another one. So this isn't a Royal Rumble, but it was WCW's version of the Royal Rumble. They had the World War III Battle Royal, and you were a part of that in '97. This is a 60-man Battle Royal, and it always looked like a clusterfuck. Was it always just a bit of a mess?
It was.
Okay, it was. I'm glad I'm writing that assessment.
during those times, you just stuck with the people that you knew you can have a good time with, and you just mingled with them, play over, try to send them over to the top rope or vice versa. But I actually remember having a match where I used both of the rings to spring from one ring to another to do the Frankensteiner, which was very special for me as well.
Of course. Yeah. It's a cool environment, but the matches just always look like, oh my God, how do you even put that together?
Yeah. Imagine backstage.
And finally, I asked Dominic these 2 questions, and I want to get your answers as well. The first of which is, who do you think the funniest member of the WWE roster is?
Funniest member. I love R-Truth, man.
Oh my God. Dominic's answer.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? R-Truth is a character. But I'll tell you what, man, the more I start to get to know Riddle more and more, he's a special cat. I love him. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if I could knock down the quote unquote forbidden door for you, and I could say you're allowed to wrestle anyone that's not currently employed by the WWE, who would your pick be?
Man, even if they're no longer here?
Even if they're no longer here, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Macho Man?
Macho Man, man. That was a dream match of mine. Macho or Bret Hart, one or the other, man. That was just something that I really wanted to happen.
Are you a Bret guy when you go Bret and Shawn?
So when like I never would have imagined that I would be able to step in the ring with Shawn. Yeah. And of course, the tribute to Eddie was against Shawn. And there was a special moment there that so special that we had to repeat it down the road, and it did happen. But without a doubt, Shawn, that was taken care of, but it was either Macho or Bret, man. And I was a Bret guy.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Macho Man, me and Dominic, because I asked him what his favorite set of gear that you guys have worn together was, and he said it was the Macho Man inspired gear at SummerSlam, and I was happy about that because it's also my favorite set of gear you guys wore. That one was
Um,
some of the best. The
that,
yellow and the pink, so good.
yeah, thank you, man. I even had some boots made with the stars on the side, man. His gear was just so special, you know,
Yeah,
and not to mention the way he moved back during that time, you know, 80s. I mean, who was coming up to the top rope and coming off with the axe handle, or just grabbing your opponent, running across the ring, then jumping over the top rope and giving him a hangman, you know,
yeah.
just stuff like that, man. It made a Macho Man very interesting to watch.
You know what's so amazing to me is watching back his career, some of the matches that he would pull out of some other guys, like the WrestleMania 7 match against the Ultimate Warrior. We all know Ultimate Warrior is a legend, but he wasn't necessarily Dean Malenko in the ring, right?
Right.
And you watch what Macho Man was able to get out of him in that match, the emotion that they were able to get out of the final, spot with Miss Elizabeth coming into the ring and reuniting with him. It's really astonishing to see what he did. He was so ahead of his time.
Way ahead of his time. And another guy that was just like that was Tiger Mask. Like when I would
Yeah.
see Tiger Mask in Japan, I was in Mexico, you know, early 90s, and I was trying to imitate you know, a lot of his moves. I'm like, this is incredible, you know. Now that we're talking late 70s, early 80s, so
Yeah.
you can only imagine. But yeah, Macho Man was just a special breed, man. It's very hard to see that unfold once again during our lifetime.
And he brings it full circle with Spider-Man, right? I mean, he was in Spider-Man 1, he was Bonesaw, right? So this interview has been brought full circle. Ray, thank you
Yeah.
so much for the time. I'm looking forward to the Royal Rumble this weekend, and hopefully I'll catch you in the future.
Sounds good, Robbie. Anytime, man. I'm here, man.
Thanks, Ray.
Booyaka.